Hi there. You are here today for the next episode of Meet the Author Showcase at the Zebra Ink TV. I am Sheila Kennedy, and I am here today with an amazing author, another one. His name is Chris Joseph, and I am really excited to be able to share all about him today. And without further ado, I am going to say hello to Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Sheila. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good.
All right. Well, you have forayed into the journey of being an author not once, but twice. But let's talk about your very first book. If you want to hold that book up and tell us a little bit about Life is a Ride, that would be amazing.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. My book, as your viewers can see, is called Life is a Ride, My Unconventional Journey of Cancer Recovery. It was published in September of 2020, so a little less than a year and a half ago.
Wow. Yeah. So what prompted you to write that book?
In October 2016, over 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with third stage pancreatic cancer, and it didn't start out well. And for most people, it doesn't go well with pancreatic cancer. But I turned my health journey around starting a few months after I got diagnosed. And I'm one of the very few, I don't even call myself a survivor, I call myself a thriver of pancreatic cancer. 70% of pancreatic cancer patients are dead within a year. 90% are dead within 5 years. I'm in my 6th year and I'm feeling great,
Wow.
other than COVID and a little COVID cough that I have. And so I started getting lots of questions and from people, from other cancer patients or relatives of or friends of cancer patients wondering, like, what did you do? And I realized I had a good story. I had a good story to tell. So I set out to write the book in March of 2020, right when the pandemic hit. And I mean, I lived the story, so I wrote it very fast.
Sure.
And published it a few months later.
Wow, that's amazing. So I am guessing that, well, I've read the book and I know that it is incredible, the journey that you've been on, and you have done some unconventional things, but things that really just make sense for healthy living. And so I totally appreciate that. But I know that my feedback isn't the only feedback you've gotten. You've gotten plenty of feedback and reviews and things like that. Tell me what one of your favorite ones or pieces of feedback has been.
Yeah, I mean, it took me a while. Well, let me see if I can articulate this. I've gotten a lot of good feedback. I mean, on Amazon, there's probably about 125 really great reviews of the book, and I've given the book away, so people have just called me or emailed me to say very nice things about the book. But what I learned from not only going through my journey and writing the book was that I was offering hope to people. Not necessarily what I did, it's just like that I did it, and others needed that. And that's the best feedback I've gotten, is when people tell me, you've given me hope, or you've given my father hope. If you can do this, maybe my mom can do this. That's the best kind of feedback.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like, well, to know that you have written something that, or shared something that has made a difference for somebody else in the way they think about life. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it gets much better than that.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, I will tell you, when I wrote the book in 2020, some of it was writing it for my kids. I wanted to leave them something. Now, the truth is they haven't read it.
I totally get that. I've got a kid like that too.
and I get it too. And I asked my younger son, who's 17 now, very nicely, I said, how come you haven't read it? He said, we lived it with you. We know the story. And he's right.
Yeah.
He's right.
That I understand that. I do. I get it. What is, if you could define one thing that you would want your readers to know about the book, what would it be? Besides that it offers hope.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't follow the traditional Western medicine path. I mean, some things I did, Western medicine almost killed me. Some of the things Western medicine I did really helped me. And I did a lot of non-Western alternative things that I'm absolutely convinced that helped me. so without getting into the details of everything I did, because it's a very long list, and I still do stuff. I think the biggest thing I would want a reader or a listener or viewer of this to get is that you're allowed to question your doctors. You're allowed to say no to your doctors, and you're allowed to say yes, of course. But ultimately, it's your choice. It's not that, I mean, doctors are great, but they don't know everything. And especially with pancreatic cancer, they really, really don't know a lot. And that's true with some other cancers as well. I will tell you a quick story. I've had some doctors say to me, well, the stuff you've been doing, none of that's proven, all the alternative stuff. And some of that's true, some of it's not true, but that aside, my response to them is, well, the path that you have me on is going to, kill 70% of people within a year. So that's not really a good path, and that's proven.
Right.
So,
You've proven that it doesn't work. So
right.
what do
So
you
I
need
don't,
from me?
I don't think I'm going out on a limb here to try something that may or may not have been proven, but it certainly could offer a better alternative than what was being presented to me.
Right. Absolutely. 100%. I totally get that. Um, Tell me about one of the new features of this interview is that I'm asking people what their stripe of power or, has been. And we're talking about something that, what are some choices or what's a choice that you made that helped you feel more empowered?
The most pivotal day I got diagnosed, as I said, in October 2016. I went on chemotherapy for a few months, and that was killing me, and it was not working. My cancer was getting worse while under chemotherapy. I quit chemotherapy in March of 2017, and I had no plan B at that point. I just figured, well, I'd rather die of cancer than I was so miserable with chemotherapy. But the truth is, the day I quit was the best day, because it all of a sudden opened up a world of possibilities,
Mhm.
of choices that I didn't even know were available. And so it's a long answer to your question, but for me, it was taking charge of my health. And it's not an easy thing to do. And I
No.
still struggle with it. I still struggle with it, and probably always will. But
Mhm.
it's what I said earlier in this interview. The patient gets to decide. And sometimes you got to trust your gut. And maybe most of the time you got to trust your gut. And
Right.
I knew I was on a bad trajectory. So taking charge of your health, to
Yeah.
me, that's the number one thing.
Absolutely. Well, and it worked. Trusting your gut, saying no to to
Yeah.
what felt wrong to you. You knew in your body that this wasn't the answer. There were so many signs and indicators that you needed to do what was good for you, and you listened. And I think that's the miracle of it all. That's the really empowering part, right?
I think so. I mean, it's never easy when you get a cancer diagnosis, and it's still not easy. I mean, I still, I get a cough like I have now with COVID, or I get a headache. I think, oh my God, I've got a brain tumor. I mean, it's that part has diminished, but it's never gone away, and I don't expect it to go away.
Mhm.
But the last 5+ years, I've been living great. Even during COVID, I was safely traveling. I took about 20 trips, including overseas. And I just figured, you know what, I'm going to live my life. And that's part of also not just surviving, but thriving.
Well,
Just-
it's kind of about that question of, do I want a quality of life or a quantity of life? And
yeah, yeah, I would like both. I would like both. And hopefully
I
I'll
hear
get,
you. I get that, but I'm just saying, like there comes a point where you're like, okay, I can live for 5 years and feel absolutely awful every single day of that,
right.
or I can, maybe live for 3 and I can have the time of my life. And
Yeah, no, I'm having a good time. I mean, again, I have struggles like everyone else does. I don't want to minimize anyone else's struggles
right.
or mine, but I'm also living it. And hopefully,
Mhm.
like I said, I'm 65. Hopefully I'll get another 20, 30 years.
Amen. I love that. So
Hopefully.
tell us what is, well, before we get into that, you have not only written one book. So you've been part of a second book. Tell us about that.
Oh, I don't have an idle brain. I was working on a lot of things. In fact, I'm working on another book, a
Nice.
third book, but I don't even ask you about that because it's still
Okay.
very. But the second book, let's see if I can get in good light here.
Yeah,
It's called
better.
The Epiphanies Project, 20 Personal Revelations. And that one came out of as I said, I wrote my first book so fast that I forgot two or three, not critical stories, but that were germane to the cancer journey. And I realized, oh, especially this one story I wrote about with my girlfriend and learning about love was a real epiphany. But I didn't have a whole book of epiphanies. So I asked 19 other writers if they had one, and they did. And so we put together this collection of essays, everyone writing about their epiphanies. And it's very powerful. And if there's one thing I could also say, there's in tribute to one of our 20 writers, not me, Natalie Brobin, who wrote about her divorce, and she had gone through both some addiction issues and being devastated by her divorce and stuff. And she passed away a week and a half ago, 58 years old. And
Yeah.
so, if anyone who knows her is listening to this, I just want to give a shout out to her. She was a really neat person.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing her story. And I'm sorry for your loss and the world's loss. And but I'm really grateful that she had an opportunity to share something special that was necessary for the world to hear.
Yeah, no, absolutely. By the way, I know we're probably going over time here. One other quick thing, I need to give a shout out to my co-editors, co-curators, Beth Robinson and Heidi Lee. I mean, I came up with the idea for this book, for the Epiphanies book, but they were the ones who shepherded it through. So
nice. Well, I know how difficult that can be, especially when you've got 20 different contributing authors. It's like herding cats. I get it.
it absolutely is like that.
The
Yeah.
logistics of that is rough, but the outcome is amazing. So it's usually worth it. And so I really appreciate all of the courage that you all summoned up collectively, and were able to share those stories that were intensely personal and to benefit the rest of us. So thank you.
Thanks. We may be doing, aside from a third book I might be writing, we're doing I think doing another collection of epiphanies. So
Nice.
yeah, I don't know if that'll be out this year, but maybe next year.
All right, sounds good. I love it. You're becoming the serial author, Chris Joseph.
I'm learning you need another job to pay the rent. But
oh, I hear you.
it sure is fun doing it. I'll say that.
Well, good. Well, good. So tell us what you like to do how do you like to spend time when you're not writing?
As I mentioned, traveling has been big. Taking walks, hikes. I do a lot of exercise, which has been part of my journey, my cancer journey. Just working out every day for a couple hours, or some kind of self-care for a couple hours every day.
Nice.
Connecting with my kids. One of my kids is now living overseas, but my other kid is still here in high school. So
that's awesome.
not sure he wants to spend as much time with me as I want to spend with him, but
that's always the dilemma when they turn that age.
It's always a dilemma, but I like knowing he's here. I'll say that.
I understand, and I'm sure he likes knowing you're here.
Yeah, I think that's right. That's right. I watch sports on TV. I follow politics and get frustrated like everyone else. I'm never bored. Never.
I understand. Well, I love that. And I know that you like to, shuck oysters.
I couldn't understand that.
I said you like to shuck oysters when you're not.
Yes, my girlfriend Susie and I have a Facebook page called What the Shuck.
I love it. I love it.
We haven't really posted on there too much in the last couple of years, even though we've still been doing a lot of oysters during COVID. But yeah, that is a passion.
Nice. Okay, so Chris, if somebody wanted to connect with you and find out more about you, they can find the books on Amazon, correct?
Books on Amazon and wherever you buy books online. Even if you live in Portland and you wanted to buy it from Powell's Books, they won't sell it in the bookstore itself, but it's on Powell's Books.
Nice.
Online.
Yep. Okay, great.
So anywhere, Even independent bookstores should have it online.
Okay, perfect. And tell us how, if somebody wanted to connect with you personally, what is the best way for them to do that?
So I still talk to a lot of cancer patients, usually about once a week or so,
Okay.
sometimes more. I'm happy to share my story with anyone. I don't really give much advice, but I'm happy to share my story. The best way for anyone to reach me is email, Chris Joseph, all one word, at Mac, M-A-C, just
Mhm.
like the computer.com, Chris
Okay.
Joseph at Mac.com.
All right, perfect. And if you had to pick a favorite social media outlet that you would like to connect on, what would it be?
I'm laughing because I'm so frustrated with social
I-
media. Not for my own stuff, just because I get caught up in the whirlwind of divisiveness and stuff, which I hate doing. But I'm on Facebook still a lot,
All right.
and Instagram a little bit,
Okay.
and that's it. I'm not on Twitter.
Okay.
I'm going to
Thank
show
you.
my age. I know there's Snapchat and
Uh,
TikTok.
all those
Yeah,
things.
yeah, I'm not just Facebook primarily and Instagram some.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. And your handle there is Chris Joseph, correct? Or Life is a Ride, the book.
Either one, both are on Facebook. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, super. Well, Chris, thank you so much. And congratulations on your perseverance and your health and your continued health. And thank you for having the courage to show us the way.
Thank you. You're doing a great service.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you so much for joining us today. I am happy to conclude this next interview and Meet the Author Showcase. And I look forward to the next one. Thanks so much and bye for now.